skill to develop in order to protect against the negative impacts of stress. With resilience, we can produce positive outcomes from negative circumstances. The present study aims to increase well-being in college students by promoting college students' ability to manage stress-related adversity and conflicts through creating a medium that is accessible to everyone. Our present study used a toolkit consisting of 4 exercises with 1 exercise given each week. These exercises were given also with peer-to-peer interaction with one of our 4 experimenters. We are known as PALs, or Peer Accountability Liaisons. We hypothesized that the toolkit and PAL group would show great improvement in well-being over the span of 4 weeks. The PAL and toolkit groups alone would show only slight improvement, and that there would be no improvement in our life-as-usual group as it served as our control.
So we recruited 81 Wofford College introductory psychology students, but we lost 23 to attrition, leaving us with 58 total participants. We had 4 groups in our study: the PAL and the toolkit group, the PAL group, the toolkit group, and the life-as-usual group, which served as our control group. The PAL and toolkit group received toolkits to complete 3 to 4 times each week and participated in 5-minute Zoom calls with one of us, which were the PALs. The PAL group participated in 5-minute Zoom calls weekly with one of us, and the toolkit group received a toolkit each week to complete 3 to 4 times that week. And the life-as-usual group, or the control group, only did pre- and post-assessment surveys each week. That's it. The participants received a pre-assessment survey which consisted of 11 measures: the brief coping measure, adaptability and flexibility, positive and negative affect schedule, the Penn State Worry Questionnaire, the Center of Epidemiological Studies Depression Revised, the UCLA Loneliness Scale, the Positive Relationships and Meaning, and the Connor-Davidson Resilience Scale. After the participants completed the consent survey, they were contacted by an experimenter and placed randomly into one of the 4 groups. The PALs, which were us, had scripts for the emails and for the PAL meetings. The toolkits were sent at the beginning of the week, and the PAL meetings were conducted towards the end of the week. And after the 4 weeks, the participants completed the post-assessment survey with the same 11 measures. The toolkits came from Wofford College's Resilience Project. The Week 1 toolkit was the What Went Well Journal, the Gratitude Journal, and 3 Good Things, where the participants reflected on positive experiences. The Week 2 toolkit was the Signature Strengths activity, in which the participants completed a survey to find out their signature strengths and wrote them down and reflected on them. The Week 3 toolkit was the Breath Meditation activity, in which the participants completed a meditation. The Week 4 toolkit was the Kindness activity, in which the participants paid attention to acts of kindness to better their social relationships.
For each experimental group, a series of one-way repeated measure ANOVAs comparing pre- and post-assessment scores were conducted. For the toolkit and PAL condition, 4 of the 11 measures showed significant improvement in well-being. The brief coping scale, specifically the problem-focused coping subscale, showed an increase in scores, indicating that over the course of 4 weeks, participants' ability to use problem-focused coping skills increased. The depression scale, the Penn State Worry Questionnaire, and the positive and negative affectivity scale, specifically the negative affectivity subscale, showed decreases in scores, meaning that depressive symptoms, feelings of worry, and negative affectivity, which basically means like your negative emotional state, all decreased over the 4 weeks. Along with these 4 significant measures, we also saw an increasing trend in positive relations with others, which is a subscale of the psychological well-being scale. This means that over the course of 4 weeks, positive relations with others increased. We believe we found these results due to the efficacy of the toolkit exercises, which were enhanced through the accountability of peer-to-peer interactions. For the PAL condition, we saw no significant change in well-being. This may be explained by the fact that the peer interactions took place over Zoom and only lasted 5 minutes in length. The PAL script, while structured to be short, limited organic conversation. And the script for the PAL interaction asked, what have you done this week to improve your well-being? And as you might imagine, answers varied from hanging out with friends to more self-motivated self-care practices such as seeing a therapist. Since we acted as the PALs in this study, participants may not have been as open to discussing feelings of depression, feelings of loneliness, and feelings of worry, since we're not clinically trained. For the toolkit condition, we only saw 1 trend that showed a decrease in well-being, but we didn't really see any significant differences. The purpose in life subscale of the psychological well-being scale showed a decrease in scores, indicating a decrease in well-being over time. We believe we found these results because without peer-to-peer interactions, the tool exercises were not as effective. As PALs, we were not able to check if the toolkit exercises were being completed and if they were being completed 3 to 4 times a week because we didn't meet with them. For the life as usual condition or the control group, we saw a significant increase in well-being for 2 measures. We saw a decrease in scores for the Penn State Worry Questionnaire and the UCLA Loneliness Scale, indicating that over the course of 4 weeks, feelings of worry and feelings of loneliness decreased. While these data are difficult to explain, there were no issues of randomization, and so future studies could inquire why participants saw an increase in well-being following the post-assessment.
It is important to note that there are some limitations with this study. We did have low statistical power due to the fact that we had small experimental groups. Our largest experimental group is our control with 14 participants. And with low statistical power and small experimental groups, increases the possibility for outliers which could have affected our data. Additionally, as Susannah briefly mentioned, there was a lack of accountability for the completion of the toolkit exercises. We asked our participants to be fully transparent and say if they did complete the exercises 3 to 4 times per week, but unless we were sitting there with them, we had no means of guaranteeing that they did do it.
This study adds to the growing body of research on college students' well-being and the importance of access to mental health care. This particular study has created a framework and a foundation that can be replicated at other universities. At Wofford specifically, the PAL and toolkit interactions could be implemented in both the first-year experience program at Wofford as well as a pilot program in the Wellness Center. Future studies could direct their research specifically to target one attribute of well-being as opposed to well-being as a whole. PAL and toolkit interactions in the same exact experimental design could be used to identify whether or not they improve isolated attributes of well-being, such as loneliness or worry. And
any questions?
Do you mind running through real quick like how you think your definition of well-being or like what scale you use for that?
Yeah, so we defined well-being using the APA's definition, which basically defined it as a state of contentment, positive mental health, and we used measurements like we would see high adaptability and flexibility scores, high coping skill scores to reflect positive well-being.
Any other questions? All right, that's going to wrap it up.